Hello team and welcome everyone. So what we're going to focus today is the weekend training, and this would be spread across the 8 hours right from today from 10 a.m. PST to 2 p.m. PST and tomorrow again, both Saturday and Sunday. So before we get started into it, team, there are a lot of things from a house management perspective that I would love to mention. Uh, Making sure my audio is good for everyone and you can see my screen, just a notepad as of now. Can I get your feedback on the chat, team? So you can interact with me at any time through the chat. Okay, great. All right, great, fantastic. So team, the whole focus this weekend is to get a great grip on automation. So we're talking about automation and we're talking about how we move from manual to automation. But at the same time, I want this to be focused specifically for people who are more non-hands-on QA slash automation leads slash managers and so on team. Now, what do I mean to say by that? So anyone who you see you are accountable for deliverables of a certain size team, you have a lot of um, you're you have to constantly ensure that your team is skilled and delivering to the latest market. So we don't want to continuously use heritage tools and so on. You also want to have at the same time the fear that you are not hands-on. So you basically rely mostly on what your team says. And that's absolutely critical, team. So the whole intent of this weekend training is to get you a holistic idea on manual to automation, why and how we can really move. You get to be able to see executions of various automation frameworks, and these along with all the I'm sorry, one second, team. The few members, anyone has questions so far? And team, while that's going on from a housekeeping standpoint, I just want to make sure that we are aware there's 4 hours today. So we are 12th October, Saturday. The way we'll do, team, 10 a.m. to about 11:15 or 11:20. We will do one session. This is all Pacific time that I'm speaking about. And we will go through a few topics, team. I do not want to crush you with all the topics right away, but I'll definitely list all the topics that we would cover. So in the next 10 minutes, I would primarily be able to finish with the orientation on what we are trying to do and why you're here. And we will get into the subject very quickly, team. We want to do a lot of hands-on in this session, at least to see and understand critically. So when your team implements, you're not absolutely an unknown. Okay, you know what, I trust by what you say because I don't understand anything beyond. And then let's continue again from 11:30 a.m. to almost about 12:45 if possible. And then we'll do 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. for the day. And the same we'll do tomorrow, team. Now, Do note this training is free for all JPACT and ITELEARN members. Okay, and even if you're not, even if not leading a QA team, please attend or watch the videos as you would get good insight into your future, because as you migrate, as you successfully build your career team, you would be getting more into where and how you position yourself. How long would you be there, let us say, as a manual tester? Maybe 2 years, 3 years in your career, and then you'll say I want to add automation tools. So you'll then have about 5 6 years with 3 years automation, 2 years manual. And as you get into agile, team management, team building, you would do more and more about your team. Now, um, what is important is get insight into your career and what is it that we will look at, because we will cover a lot of things, team, around perspective of, I'll just call this as QA management. Okay, like the way we want to look at things, the way we would want everyone to start looking at deliverables, all the way that goes back to the requirements in an agile process, saying that this is how we have a good control on the whole thing. So the topics that we will cover today will be from their perspective, that if a team is executing any of these things on, be it Selenium or any other automation tools team, as of now, for the weekend, we're going to focus on Selenium with Java, and we will do a little bit of Eclipse. Sorry, Eclipse will of course be there. Um, we will be getting into CI/CD with the concept of Jenkins plus GitHub, maybe a little bit Maven as well. So you would understand the entire build process. We will not do too much, and let me not get into topics team or what we will do and what not. Just keep an eye on the perspective that we will do a lot of code walkthrough of how these programs run. So let me kind of launch my Eclipse in the meanwhile. So what I want to focus, team, is in terms of automation, estimation, ERA analysis. How do we make sure that it is efficient, reusable, accuracy, and deployment, reporting. These become absolutely critical for someone who's playing an automation lead or manager role team. So in your entire DevOps or CI/CD cycle, while you may have about 5 people, 2 people, or 25, 30 members in your team who are doing this, you would need to do a constant amount of estimation. And we're just not saying automation estimation or manual, but let us say that it is an integrated hybrid. So I will say QA/automation. You need to do something called as an ERA analysis. ERA is my 3 thumb rules that I keep promoting when we do any kind of an automation, and that is efficiency. So let me put it. Our automation frameworks need to be efficient, they need to be reusable, and they need to be accurate. So the whole training as we go along, I'll keep emphasizing on the fact of, are things really efficient? Are we building on reusability? And is it really accurate that we can rely for it to tell us what is right and wrong? So that is very, very critical, team. Keep this in the back of the mind. At this point, there is nothing much to mention apart from the fact that uh, we can get into the training, but just the fact that your ITLN membership is there, team. So if you are a member currently ongoing, lifetime access, or a premium member, any of these, you're more than welcome to continue with this training. I would want to repeat this training, do this once a month. And team, this has been constantly been requested by a lot of members for the last, I've been doing training for the last 10 years. So, and they've been requesting. It has only been me that, okay, you know what? It's too much on a weekend for me to take it. I would want to spend time with the family. But then the recent push that has come from my org team, Varkasa.com, we're going very, very aggressive into QA automation. I'm not talking about aggressive in terms of, just acquiring new clients and so on. I'm talking about project implementations. We are very serious about what we do in the software test automation vertical. So if you have not got an introduction about us, then very quick, Varkasa.com is the incorporation. I've been in Los Angeles personally since 2005. I've got ITELEARN initially as QTP Learn, started in 2008-9 time frame. It's been over a decade team, been training constantly. You'll find us a lot on YouTube as well, but we have a very specific segment of followers and students. You will not see, and this is the first time that we have actually done a Facebook ad to because I wanted to reach more and more QA leads managers to come network as well along with this training. So I would really seek a little bit of your take things slow and easy. And I know it is it's effort for both of us, right? 8 hours in 2 days. But let's look at the brighter side. All right, is over the weekend you have upgraded your skills, and when you get to the office maybe on Monday, you're a little different because your exposure is there. And even if you are going to be a new member team, who's someone who's going to start today, you would not only get exposure to what is happening here, but on a slow gradual learning place, you have the memberships that will help you to decide. So there's a 3 months, 1 year lifetime access for all that we do as video and live content, and there's the JPACT 2 year membership. So these are the access periods and so on team. The only one which has a different access, just to make sure that you all know, ITELEARN 3 months, 1 year and lifetime access, they're all the same. They give you the content, whatever you get on online courses, except for the live projects and certifications and the placement program. So that is where the content here for JPACT members is much more advanced. So you could choose any of these and get going, but please do note, I will be taking this off team. I've been mentioning, but there have been so many discussions, so many members getting in. So once, let's put it like free for all, and here members only. So if you're someone who's looking to continue, please take that next 15 minutes to do it. So maybe we will use a new GoToWebinar link for it. Okay, so that's just the housekeeping. I wouldn't bother too much team, but what we will do then, we will continue again on 13th October, and we will do a lot of things as it goes. I want to keep one um, ed, open agenda, can I say? All right. All I'm saying is, if we do not cover certain topics, we will do again for those. And will it be live or videos? Don't worry, team. Let's try and acquire knowledge. And please do understand, this is a program. It is not like a typical, like for us, YouTube or Stack Overflow or how we use Google to search and learn are bits and pieces, or Udemy to learn specific concepts maybe. But when it comes to the whole thing where it links directly to your career and you can interact with it, that is where I focus on. So we go very, very hands-on. The whole, of course, it starts with a important note that we will look at things from a 10,000 feet level. Maybe no, 1,000 to 5,000 feet level team. So this is mid-level. What is high level? High level is about 30,000 feet. We talk about more like aeroplane distance and view. When you're flying at 30,000 feet, everything looks small. You don't have attention to detail unless you have a good enough lens to zoom in. But as you go down to 10,000 feet, you're getting more closer to the ground reality. And in this case, we are saying not only the Earth, but our IT project. And as you get closer, you have more insight. So we want you to get deeper into understanding what is this whole crux of Selenium, Java, Eclipse, automation frameworks. Why are people going crazy about this? And most importantly, I want to talk about why automation projects fail. And industry is right now, they're, twice bitten, thrice shy. So it's not once bitten, twice shy thing. So they've gone through this and they want things that can be really implemented. And when I say implemented team, it is not about complicating coding or frameworks. I see a couple of questions, I believe. I'm going to take your questions in a minute, team. Let me just finish this. Let me erase this drawing. Let me see. Ting, 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 ting. So team, from a participation and so on, I'll have to create a new list. So give me some time. I'll focus on the training. Let's keep going on it. As long as you remember, don't worry. I'll take care of it. Worst case, give me a call or write an email to me. Let me continue with the session about where we're focusing, and then I want to get kick-started. All right, everyone. Now, implemented. So what are we talking about? So why automation project fail? What projects fail? So implementation failures team. Implemented how, who, why. So these questions become very important. So complicated coding or frameworks cause some people are saving their jobs. They don't want it to come up versus where there is more openness. Did I spell it correct? Is that even a word in English? Openness to get non-coders to participate. And this is the biggest priority that every QA leader has, team. How can I get my QA, which is manual, to work a lot on automation too? And I would be honest, team, one of the first reasons that a QA leader will look at is to motivate them. And they would genuinely feel that it would improve their career. And there are things that they need to learn. Why? How long will you sit in manual? Why don't you get into the automation? Why don't you learn? And they want you to really get exposed. But at the same time, whole automation, CI, CD flow. But then, you understanding what I'm trying to mention, team? Is everyone with me in the conversation? We're kind of talking about what we're going to focus, where we're going in this, and how we look at things as we look at our roles as a QA leadership. Any questions at this point? Sorry, okay, all right, team. So what we're talking about is how can I get the QA team? You are a leader, you want your team to start working on them. But at the same time, automation frameworks are not typically user friendly. And one of the simplest reasons why, all is coded in. And this is where we will learn to differentiate and all is coded in. And unless you know coding, gets tough to maintain your QA regression suite in Java. That becomes the challenge team. And you would like to be able to, what am I saying next? All is coded in unless you know. And the challenge starts now, team, with this kind of approach. So let me quickly open up my workspace for. I wanted to take a previous training and do a good walkthrough. There are two of them. There's one that's coming up. So I just switched the workspace. It should come up. And we'll talk about team. QA leader, how can I get? Automation frameworks are not typically user friendly. All is coded in unless you know coding, gets tough to maintain in QA, to maintain QA regression suite in Java. And where is my, okay, there we are. All right, so this is a lot of content. So now all I'm saying, team, is if a non-programmer has to look at things and which goes a little deep into, okay, all my scenarios are out here, and each time I need to do some kind of scenario management, I need to come and do this, is a challenge. So for non, and this is where we want to build that exposure. What truly goes behind that buzzword automation? All right, and when we talk about automation, we do not have to necessarily talk about just testing automation. It can be industry automation. It can be any kind of an automation, robotic process automations, and so on, team. But we are more towards automation testing. So I'll just keep that common. All right. Any questions? Let me now talk about automation testing and how we want to get there, team. That's fine. Blue is good for now. So in our world of testing, software testing, I would want to put things into two perspectives. One is manual testing, and then we have the automation testing. So the primary difference of how can we be able to differentiate these activities, and that is what I was trying to mention, I believe, in that earlier point. All that we focused is how do we move or keep understanding each of these teams in a strong way. Let's take a typical scenario, team. There are, let us assume that about a QA team, a pyramid of QA team, where there is one QA manager, then there are about one lead plus two automation engineers, and let us say there are about 15 manual testers. So while this is how it ideally should look, not from a delivery perspective, what has happened is it's become two pyramids. One where you are managing all the 15 manual testers, and then another one where you're managing these three automation and leads. Not lead, definitely lead is assisting, or you're managing the automation test engineers. Lot of challenges from the industry is where these two teams could not be in sync. So if you don't have the manual and automation testers in sync, all that responsibility and all the challenge comes about for into your bucket. And then now you're stressed up as to how do I do things. So what we are trying to talk about is not about a career shift of manual testers or automation, but understanding what we are doing in automation world and how manual testers can start involving. Okay. Now, from a manual testing perspective, let us also start talking about tools, team. What are the different tools? Can you all mention what tools have we used in manual testing? Please put them in the chat. What tools have we used for manual testing? I want to start listing them down. And I want to talk about automation tools also that you've come across. And not that we want to differentiate or anything, just that how strong is our awareness with market. There I go, start getting a few. And while you're answering that, I believe I could also take a poll question, team. I think this is the easiest one to start with, if you remember or not. I will create a few more polls, team, and I'm going a little slow to begin with. I would definitely want to um, it be more interactive. So yes, I'm getting a few sets of information on the manual tools. What are they, team? And please, can you start also publishing the poll? I just launched one on your screen. You can click one of the option, team. I will add a few more polls in a few minutes, but just to get started. All right, there you go. I'm going to type it in. Maybe you're not seeing it on my screen yet. What I'm getting, I'm seeing QC, which is Quality Center, and which has also become now ALM, right? And then we have Jira, right? Sorry. We have, okay, Bugzilla, sure. We have ALM. We have Atlassian tools. So Jira, Bugzilla are all Atlassian tools, right? Not Jira, actually, sorry. Atlassian tools. What was the other Atlassian tool? Zypher, MTM, Microsoft Test Management, manual testing tool, MTM. What else, team? Qtest, Rally, version 1. Wow, there's so many. And team, I've got about 73% of you voted in. Can I get a few more votes in, please? Did I miss anything from what I mentioned? I'll also share the screen once I close this polls. Okay, let me close this poll then and share the results. So team, 80% of you are currently with us as members, and that's great. Thank you so much, because I see a very large participation, and that's one thing I personally wanted to ensure that I improve within ITELEARN, where we get more and more members joining these webinars. And I do understand with this today's world, significantly things have changed in our lifestyle, more in terms of, let me hide this, on how we do things, and we want everything in a touch of a button. We've got easy learning options, and we cannot focus so much on programs which are long. And that is why I wanted to ensure we also come up with these weekend trainings for most of you who have a specific need where you could implement it quickly rather than having to go through an entire program. So let's talk about, there's so many manual testing tools, and I think all that they're trying to do is very simple, team, right? Their goal is to, write, manage, report, run manually tests. Isn't that is what these are trying to do. Everyone with me, team? Now let's talk about some manual testing tools also. I'm not sharing my screen. Oh, why? Okay. Now, sorry, I think after the poll. Great. So I've written those tools down, and I was kind of mentioning that from a goal perspective, all that we're trying to use these tools are to be able to write, manage, report, and run tests. That is what we are doing. And there are so many SaaS products that I'm not sure you will start seeing, and I mean, we'll start seeing in the training, that you're also aware that you can do things. So what is SaaS team? Software as a service or maybe solution. And where they're charging them per use, per license fees, and so on. Now, team, quickly, let's also talk about the world of automation tools. What are the ones that you have come across in the side of automation? Exactly, and SaaS tools, we'll talk about those too. Yes, Sauce Labs, Browser Stack, perfect. What else? And team, it's already almost half an hour. We've got into the subject as per in terms of what we're trying to do. We've started to analyze now in terms of manual tools and different automation tools now. Automation tools team, let's go check that list out. Okay, great. We got to start. Selenium, sure. QTP slash UFT right now. Catalan, perfect. Studio, recorder, protractor. What else? Load runner, sure. JMeter 2 then. Postman, coded UI, APM. What else? Team. I'm looking at your chat and writing it. It's so easy for me. Robot, there's nothing called robot or robotics. This, okay. C test. Did I miss anything, team, from what you've been mentioning? There's robot frameworks. Yep, there is SOAP UI. What else, team? How about CI/CD? Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes. Nice. Maven, sure. Let's put Eclipse also with it. GitHub, Bamboo, spell it right. SonarQube. SonarQube is with a Q, right? Cube. And anything else, team? And we're going to get into the code levels very soon, but just thought let's list down some. And even if we've not kind of completed everything, we can come back and keep introducing them into it. But primarily, there's a whole array of things, isn't it? Now, apart from this, we want people to have other skills. Like what? What could be the other skills that you typically see in your team's team? What do you ask them? Don't you ask something like BDD? Yeah, HTML skills, perfect. I like that. And maybe even BDD. I didn't know why I wanted SQL. Perfect. See, CSS. Sure. Cascading style sheet. What else? Just at least the basics of it, right? Why not XML also? and maybe JSON formats, SQL, databases. Selenium IDE is a good question. When I say Selenium, we'll say IDE and the WebDriver, everything. In here, JavaScript, yeah. API, sure. ATDD, acceptance test driven development. Excel, perfect. Of course, Word and PowerPoint too. Linux, there you go. Mac too. Then Windows will assume is by default. G Drive, so nice. Postman I have already used above. Shell scripting. There we go. Thank you, team. And like GitHub, there are so many other, SVN tools, um, SVN or version controlling team. XPath, sure. I think that is a good one. I will put special stars for this right now. Other skills. Core Java. That gets tricky now. Now, if maybe we should put that in here then. Java, JUnit, TestNG. Now you spent, let us say, the last 6 months working in Java, JUnit, TestNG with Selenium, WebDriver, building all the automation frameworks. You did a little bit of Maven, Eclipse, Jenkins, GitHub. And then suddenly you have a project or your customer wants you to then get into C# or Python, not C. I miss C though. Or I don't know, Ruby on Rails. I don't know, PHP. So how do you then adapt? It becomes challenging, and these skills are important, team. So core programming in general is essential, but from my perspective, we are in a different world. We should never ever, this is my thumb rule, team, when it comes to automation. What color is this pen? Let me do it here itself. We should never ever mix automation testing into like a dev thing. It should not be given a cycle like a dev cycle. It should be more plug, play, make changes, do a little bit, and it should be progressive. And that's a very, very keyword, team. And we'll keep talking about them. You need to have these, where did I write ERA and all those? I wrote a lot of content already. We are clocking to. We need them to be robust, frame for robust. And what did I say, team? They should be slowly progressive. We should be able to progress them slowly, because the most important thing is your ROI, and that's your return on investment. So when, how, what will you get at the end is very critical, and this becomes your plan overall. So as a QA leader, we need to know exactly what is happening in the team. On a daily basis, you're having to estimate timesheets, say that, okay, this project, it's a 2 weeks assignment or 3 weeks. How much will we dig further? And then we are burdened with all these tools. And don't you think that in today's market, at least if you have a dozen in this list, you would get into more of a zone with what industry wants? That's what they're asking for, team. There is a hand raised. Can I get it in the chat, please? Unless there's an issue that you're facing. Okay, we could. All right. So then what is it that we want to do? From an automation testing perspective, where we have a lot of things, team. We have activities of manual testing. We have performance. We have web and mobile app testing and performance stress load, concurrent uses, all those. We have web services testing, backend testing, API, and so on. And then we have regression testing. Okay. Now, please note that all our focus in what we will do essentially, at least through this weekend, is going to be on one area, and that's our regression testing. It's very tough to uh, analyze and see how come regression testing is being so much in demand, and especially with tools like Selenium or UFT and Catalan and all these tools. How are they getting into things? Sure, smoke testing is a small part of regression testing team. Okay, regression testing is the entire thing. Now, why is regression testing being focused so much? I'll tell you, very simple. Let us think this is the application. Okay, from a functionality perspective, all that you're seeing here as boxes may be different modules within this app. Okay, and from a regression testing, its most important criteria is, has it covered each and everything in here? Okay, now that's a functional execution. When you talk about manual testing, of course, that is exactly what we do too. And in the meanwhile, we keep introducing the other components, like what we're talking about now, the performance, mobile app, web services, and so on into it. As part of, we want to do these here, we want to do these here, I want to do this here, I want to do this here. Somewhere in the applications or the third-party APIs we are doing, correct? So regression testing becomes one of the key areas, which is doing the bulk of things team. So your bulk of activities are going to happen in the regression testing. And you have plug and play as need be and as we progress. And I'm not saying giving any low priority to them, just the fact that this is overall conclusive. So if we are now focusing on regression testing, I have three simple tools to do that we can talk about. One is our Selenium. Then we have our HP UFT and Catalan. Let us assume that these are the three most popular ones right now in regression testing arena. The reason we are focusing on Selenium is very simple, team. It's got a great trend. It is open source, and we can start looking at a lot of implementations that I've already done on it. From a UFT perspective, this is one of the tools that I've admired and loved over a long period of time. HP Quick Test Professional version 9 onwards. And I have just been amazed at how this product still is so good. And I've just done recently one of those small sessions on it. And I was so happy to see that everything works what we need. We've gone all the way from UFT and built our own Selenium frameworks in Selenium, reinvented the whole wheel, just to come back to UFT and see that everything is built-in features. Everything is built in. You need to know what to do, where to do. Yes, you can, and that is where I focus a lot, do a lot of additional VB scripting and customize and develop frameworks custom rather than using all the inbuilt actions and so on. That's a great thing. But the concept that everything is built in, it's like having Selenium IDE plus Selenium WebDriver plus a few other reporting tools all into one. And Catalan is something more new into the market. I've seen it, I've worked on it. I don't have a great opinion on it. It's because it's just recreating what same Selenium or UFT is trying to do in a different way, but it's got momentum. So the reason I am focusing on Selenium team is very simple. Once you get the basics of this automation, you would understand how these two also work. All right. Now let's quickly talk about how we go from a manual to an automation perspective and how things work. So team, from a manual testing, we are working as humans. And for us, it's simple. If you're just given a few instructions, we can do it. Some of the humans are smart, some of the humans are not so smart. So delivery 1 out here is much better, but my delivery 2 that you're getting from your second QA engineer is not at the same level. Why? Though they use the same Excel sheet to look at that manual test scenario and build it. They still are differing. Why? Because they use their own certain amount of thinking. That, you know what, I believe there is something different here. And maybe that same level of creativity is not there for the next one, and more questions out here. So when you look at an application under test, and when you're doing whatever kind of testing, web services, regression, you want to be able to focus and say, how confident am I from my team perspective that I can say, okay, things are working fine, let's move it to the next cycle. So that is a very critical thing, team acceptance. So should I accept D1 and should I be able to reject D2? That's your challenge in manual testing. That is number one. So instructions are there in Excel, instructions are there in Excel, same Excel. Then why the difference? Because the way we think. When it comes to automation testing tool, number one, there is no concept called self-thought or idea, or oh, you know what, a Eureka or Yahoo moment that I've got something, some kind of an. This is I'm trying to draw a bulb team just in case you're wondering what I'm drawing here. So there is nothing that will point and say, I've got a bright idea. Absolutely not. So what is it? It is nothing but a dumb system that follows a few steps. So it doesn't matter if D1 executes it. It doesn't matter if D2 executes it, because your automation tool will go about doing the same thing. So now in this case, what happened? The Excel that we have here in the automation is almost the same here and almost the same here. All right. Now, how does a typical test case look like, team? I was trying to put some things together from previous ones. Let's see if any of this has something. I have my Eclipse ready as well. We're going to run through a few of these too. The flow is, team, I'm not going to start with Selenium IDE. We're going to go jump. So I'm here. It's a lot here. I'll definitely let me save this. This is weekend training. Sorry, I make that buzzing sound when I have just nothing to do and on the screen. Okay, focus, training focus. Yes, like I said there, but where is it that I said? Here, right? So I don't want to talk a lot about Selenium Web IDE, team. We'll focus directly on Selenium WebDriver. Okay, and there are some prereqs. Will guide you. You need to install and practice offline. All right, everything that we're going to do here, team. Or you can take a detailed other training content, live training content to practice on. So this is a fast flow, team. This is not something I want you to do anything. Put everything aside. Just take notes. That's it. Don't worry about practice or anything. I would love to give exercises, team. I would love to have you do certain activities. Maybe we'll try and approach that tomorrow. And I'm just seeing we are about not even 1/4 into today's session. But once we get into the code, we'll keep flowing from there. It'll get very intellectual for us. What else do we have? Now I was opening this. Let's see. Is there anything here? All right. Now forget about what I have on the top in terms of what is DDF or out here or test data and so on, team. Just focus in terms of how a simple test case will look at. And when we look at manual testing, maybe it'll have a few more details as expected or and so on. But primarily, I want to do something on an application. Let us select mortgagecalculator.org, and it prints out we enter home value, we enter loan amount, we enter interest rate, click on calculate, verify and close browser. When you look at these steps, team, you are primarily saying that how does this application behave? Manual or automation is the next thing, but how does it behave that we could have it work on understanding what we should do. So we're going to go to the application, enter a few values, click on compare loan types, and make sure that we're getting the right repayment summary. That is our criteria. Here is how a typical step looks like. Now, the biggest challenge when we look at any manual or an automation test team, there are a couple of additional details that we need to do. If a human is given a task of saying that, you know what, go look at this Excel and make sense of it. All right. All right. The human is able to kind of get the idea and say, okay, test case one, step one is go to this application. I'll enter these details. Okay, sure. Click on how much do I enter? Okay, home value is there somewhere. What is this? I don't know what it is, but maybe it is in test data. So we are able to understand based on what we see here because we have a certain pre-memory, a pre-notion of how things will work. But when it comes to the same thing, when it comes to Selenium, all right, or any other automation tool, it lacks in that capability. These steps are not sufficient for it to execute. It needs more details because it does not know certain things. And the only two things that Selenium really requires, team, is actually three sets of information. What to do, where to do, and any test data or information that you want to additionally provide. These are the three important information that you need to give if an automation has to happen. Manual tester with this information, no problem. Automation engineer needs to provide more detail. So that is your most important activity, team, in terms of understanding where automations are getting into. Automation needs three more three sets of information. And what are those three, team? Let me erase this drawing. What are those three that I mentioned? What we need to do, that is the action or the command that we want to give to Selenium that go do this. And the next one is where I need to perform that action. So we are only talking about web-based applications in here, right, team? So let's look at the simplicity of what we're trying to do. So where? Now see, human, no problem. He will go and search our home value is here, our down payment is here, or he or she, please, sorry. And they know where to search. But okay, let me step back a second and just mention this. When we are trying to do some activity on a web-based application, I need to know what you want me to do. Like, okay, you want me to type something here? Okay, tell me the amount. I will put it here. Next, what you want me to do? You want me to click on this percent and say this is 10%. Okay, I will do that. And then you want me to click on this compare loan types? Yes, I'll click and I get a banner. Is this what you wanted or not? So it is all about following a series of instructions. These instructions, we also have to say where, and this is the element identification. In Selenium, we talk everything about elements, and there are different ways of identifying elements. Something like ID, name. I'll just mention few, team. Link text or link partial link test, CSS or class, tag, sometimes tag, or forget the other ones, main ones, XPath. Now, your other one is your data. This could be your test data, info like a username or what you want to put here in these fields. That becomes the other important aspect. Once you have these three sets of information, you are all set with automation. Now, how do I give these sets of information in an Excel? Forget about getting to that extent, but let's try and understand how does a simple automation script look. At this point, is it okay if I switch to Eclipse and just run through a few codes that we've been working on, team? It'll be fun to look at what's happening, and then we will come back to it. All right, great. So where are we? Now, team, I've taken the latest Selenium September batch. We're still progressing in it. We've completed a little linear framework, functional decomposition, keyword driven, and now we are doing hybrid framework with page object, page factory. We're still progressing there. So let me close all of these. I don't need these. And let's start at the very beginning. I think it was Selenium Live Training Project 2. Now, where am I? What am I doing, everyone? You're a QA leader, let us assume, and you are not someone who's yet acquainted with Eclipse. Can I just, and team, the beauty of this online program, right now I know it's too much one way, but if you're interacting with me directly. So it does not have to be with anyone else. So please use that advantage to chat with me at least in it, okay, in the GoTo webinar. My question is, team, how many of you have seen Eclipse? Or let me ask the other way. How many of you have never worked on Eclipse beyond certain things? An answer no saying to me that, you know what, I've never done much on Eclipse. Maybe I've seen it, maybe I've seen developers, but not too much. Anyone? I've got 5, 6, 7. And team, thank you so much for the participation. It's really, I'm glad that I have a good crowd for a weekend. That makes things very interesting too. Okay, so no problem. Let me walk through at a high level and then we will dig through slowly. I will make sure, team, by end of day tomorrow, you will see certain comfort level in Eclipse. Okay, that is what we will focus on. Now, what happens? What is Eclipse, team? Very simple. It's called an IDE. IDE is an integrated development environment. Now, Java is there. When I write a Java program, it is all about, it'll look like this. My Java program will look nothing but like this. This is it. Now, when we're looking at such a simple code, and I can just go to command line and say Java and run this program, Java and whatever, hi team, and dot class. So whatever dot Java classes that we create in here is as simple as this, and we'll go through the code a little bit, team. Then what is the point of an IDE? So integrated development environment makes your Java code do three things, team. One, it lets you organize everything nicely. All right, so it is almost like a folder structure. See, left side you have like a tree structure. You can click on, drill down, and start seeing things one after the other. It is as simple as that. That is one reason. The second is that the IDE helps you to do better, faster coding. How? It has something in terms of when you write, if you do errors, it will help you to fix them. It will give you suggestions and it will give you good error reports out here. And third and most important thing, team, is in terms of it works great in an overall CI/CD fashions. Okay, so these tools can talk to other tools. So if I write code here, I can check this code into a remote folder. Google Drive also is okay, but again, it's not really recognizes code. But GitHub or other SVN tools, you could keep checking in your code as well. So it lets you do all these three things that you cannot typically do. So this is organize, this is better coding, and do a lot of continuous integration, continuous delivery through it. So that's why we use an integrated development environment. In that, Eclipse is one of the most popular open source tools. So go to eclipse.org and download this. And installations and all, team, once you're getting hands-on, then go to this training that is already there as videos, most of about 22 days so far. and start watching maybe from day 2, day 3, day 4, where we start doing Eclipse. I walk through everything. Now, what all do I need to run my code? Let's put those. Automation code on Selenium. Okay. I'll keep it very simple, team. One, yes, we want to have Eclipse IDE. That is what we are using. We will use Java. Maybe we will also see TestNG or JUnit. We're going through multiple codes, team, so that will be interesting for us. To run an automation code, what am I trying to do? I'm getting lost a little bit. Sorry. Ting, ting, ting. Oh, yes. What else do we need? Selenium WebDriver. Then we need Chrome driver, Gecko driver, and other Java jar. What is Java jar, team? Full form of jar is Java archived resource, right? It's like a zip folder. Just assume it's like a zip folder, but for Java programs, where you combine everything and you try and get them for reusable execution. So what we do, team, is in the folder that I have, let me kind of walk through there. I think here, it is this drawing. So you got the point, team. IDE, why are we using? To a one organize code. When I say organize code, team, it is write, edit, maintain, run, all of these things. You can do better coding. You can write things better because of suggestions, faster, easier access to, and then the fact that it talks to so many things in the CI/CD world, talks to other apps too. So that's the reason, team, and I want you to very prominently realize why we are doing certain things. Now, what are the concept of Java and jar? Let me explain that to you, and then we will run a few things, and I will show you that on there. Let me take this. So what happened, team? Java is like a core programming language, and it knows how to do things. When I say programming language, it is nothing but it is a bunch of instructions. Some says do A, B, C, D, but then it will come a step E where it says, you know what, you do here this way or this way. And then it says somewhere that I want to keep on doing this repeatedly, or I want to go back here, I want to go there. That is what is a programming language, team. Basically taking English like instructions from a human and running it on our machine. That is all that a programming language does. So Java as a core has all these things like if statement, for, while, select case, methods, and so on. But when it comes to the other providers, there are different users of Java. So for example, we have at Verkasa a product called Eniot, which is a very um, well-built automation tool specifically for manual testers. Now, for Eniot, if it has to work, it knows that it has this, but there is a packaged of all that what that Eniot does into a jar file, team. And that if you have, you can run everything. So whenever you have to use Eniot, you need to put that into your Java library and use it. The same with Selenium WebDriver. And said Selenium says that if you want to work with WebDriver, what is a WebDriver? In your application, let us say there is a Chrome in your system browser. Selenium WebDriver lets you connect to that browser and work with it. Now, if Selenium WebDriver needs to be handled within Java, I need that jar file. Now, if I'm running my tests on Chrome, I also will need to know how the driver file will look. If I want to run or do something with, let us say, reading and writing Excel files, then I will do something with Apache POI or JDBC, or you have some, and everything comes in as a jar file. So look at jar as more of a reusable library team. Whenever you want it, you get it. So then the question comes, why doesn't Java have everything to load it all? Just that there are thousands and thousands, probably even more, hundreds of thousands of these jars publicly available. And it becomes impossible to manage that. So you need to know what to use when. All right. So let us say we're creating a new project in Java. All I'll do at that time is make sure my drivers are all put in one place. So I've downloaded a Selenium server standalone from seleniumhq.org. There's Apache POI, there's JUnit, there is a Hamcrest core, there is a Chrome driver. And whatever I want in what we're working on, I'll keep implementing those. Now, in here, what have I done? There is, okay, Eclipse and all this so far done. Team, I'll take another 10-15 minutes and then we'll take a break. Okay. I want to run a few programs. A simple Java program like Hi Team is there out here. Now, do you notice the same program when I opened it in simple notepad, it looked this way, very bland, and this is what it is. And now when I look at it here, there's more bold, there's coloring, there's line numbers, and that's what a Eclipse IDE does. I do not want you all to ever get confused too much on all these brilliant options that are there at the beginning. These we expose and learn as we go along. There's also something called as perspective, or how we see, like, do we want to see this window here, this here, this here? But I want you to focus on these three teams as much as you can. Keep your package explorer on left, Hi team, and here. I'll show you how we can create a new workspace project also, but let's run a few code and see what happens. So at this point, I just have a simple program. What is this program? Let us read through it. And team, I don't think I'll do justice by going details and explaining what is a public, static, or void, and so on. As the opportunity comes, I will. But I will focus on the core of our automation and try and get there. So there's a lot that we need to cover. But let us understand the construction of how things are built. In Java, for us, it is very simple. We will start with talking about a name to that class. That becomes exactly that name that you will see, and the extension is .java. So if I see this name is Hi Team, and the same thing should be also there in the code. Where is it? I think here, source, Hi Team. See, that's the name there, Hi Team, and it's a Java file. Okay, so when you save this, it has to match, the same names have to be there. So if I change this, you would notice a red line coming in. It primarily says that, hey, you know what, your code is not correct. And this is the other advantage when we spoke about Eclipse IDE and how it helps you do better coding, is it'll give you a recommendation. It'll give you a pointing saying that, hey, you did a mistake. If I do the same in a notepad, I have no absolute clue to it. That is the only simple reason. I mean, that is one of the strong reasons that everyone uses IDE team. Very rarely you see someone going into the code and doing, unless they have simple small changes to do. All right. So this is critical, where your class name here is linked with your file name. Okay, that's a simple construction. Now, every Java class should have a main method. Remember that. Main method is where things start to execute. And what we see is the curl brackets is nothing but saying open curl brackets is start of a block of code. Close is the end of the block of a code. So within my whole program called Hi Team, I have a main method, and these are the lines. What is public static void? Not yet. But let's talk about what does this print statement do. Simple Java print statements that whatever you print here goes to a place called console. So a quick execution will show us that I've arrived here so far. I love automation. Um, let's do hands-on. And now all I did is to that code, I made a small change and doing it. So team, if I'm making a change in this, I hope my team won't mind. I keep a copy of the old ones for sure, but that's fine. It's not a bad change to have. All I did is at this time, what did I do, team? I changed my code and I'm going to save this file and I'm going to click on this green icon called execute. When I click on this, that is when the execution happened initially, but now it's going to do it with those changes. So that is all about it, team. Starting from line 1 to line 10,000, we go about doing and writing. So what is this high team 2 now? I think it does exactly the same, but if you notice, can someone tell me the difference? High team and high team 2. Let's remove this and assume that this wasn't there. Do you see any difference between this tab and this tab, everyone? So I have my high team in code 1 in the first tab, the next one in the second tab. Are you feeling tired, team? Class name is different. That's true. I didn't notice. Thank you. What else? Line spacings, right? There's 6 lines of code and this is 12 lines of code. So from a line count perspective, it does not matter. But uh, how well is it readable and so on, we keep a close look. Now, what else did I do? My basic Java. Okay. So it's still another simple code. Let's run this. I'm trying to slowly get into a Selenium WebDriver code, team. And simple Java class, nothing much, just one statement. And then I have something called as gdf1.java. There we go. Now here is where we start to look at applications and what we can do on it. So for example, here, it is a small, simple code that is going to youtube.com and going to send this keys, blah, blah, blah. And that's about it. How is this code developed and what is this new import statement that I see here? Do you remember I was saying that about the jar when explaining that you need to use them as and when? In here, we started to use the concept of our Selenium WebDriver. This WebDriver gives us the control to point to the application under test. Let us say this is my application. When I say WebDriver, my driver, and my driver is new Chrome driver, which is open here. Whenever I say my driver, it is automatically pointing to here and it has total control on it. It can do whatever it wants. How did that happen? Let me speak about it. Within Java, we have concept of variables, team. Variable is nothing but, and we'll discuss variables soon. It has a name and it has a value. It's like your contact list phone number. For your friends, you'll not just put their names in your contact list, right? You'll also write the name. So whenever you say that, I want to call Adam or I want to call Steve or I want to call Kishore, you just pick up that name. You don't have to remember the number. And then that number will come out. When it comes to an object, it is a little bit more complex. Think of it like a cube where it's got plenty of details. It's got n number of information into it. We need to say, okay, what is the size of it? What is the width of it? What is the height of it? Color of it? And so on. It's like, for example, having instead of just a phone number, you want a contact, entire contact details. So contact details is first name, last name, organization, email, password, address, location, zip, all of these, right? So you can't put that into one variable. So you put it into a structure where you have all the details about it. And that basically becomes your objects team. We will talk a little bit about oops and how we get there, but my driver is pointing there. Okay, now for this WebDriver to be recognized, we need these 4 statements. Why? What happens if it is not there? Let us evaluate. And I want you to maybe even if you don't get enough time to put hands on into what we're doing, team, I want you to at least be inquisitive, look at these codes, run them, make changes, or see what's happening as and when you get time, team. Now see, we have other syntax errors. We call them as syntax errors. There are two types of errors we will come across, team. Syntax error is wrote wrong, can't understand what you say. What is a runtime error? It ran wrong. Code, no syntax, has no syntax issues, but problem when executing. Okay. Now, your syntax error is basically way for Java to tell us that human, I don't understand what you're saying. So can you be more explicit? So in here, whenever you see a red underline, you can take your mouse over it and it says that, listen, for this WebDriver to be recognized, you need to import WebDriver org.openqa. Where will it be importing from, team? Don't worry as of now. It is already there in the reference libraries. I've imported. The way we import is very simple. We go to that project wherever we're working on. See, there are multiple projects, right? Let me minimize. This is the project we're working on or seeing, and go to the properties and we go to Java build path, and then I can add the ones that I want. So click on add external jars, go to the drivers, add what I want. It'll basically let me start working with so and so things, team, whatever it needs to interact. That goes into your referenced library. So this is your Java project. Let me explain once again. I have not created a project. I will, but I just wanted to quickly show a code. This is your project team, name of the project. Okay. This is called your workspace where you'll have multiple projects. Okay. Under workspace, you can have more than one project. This is where all your code, individual codes are written, programs. You can have different folders under it, structure. It is just how you want to maintain it. And then we have the libraries. Libraries as to what is required to run. In this, there is something called as a JRE system library, that is the Java runtime environment inbuilt. So whatever is typically needed, I'm sorry, team, excuse me, typically needed to execute a simple Java program is all in here. Reference libraries are user added. So we want it in our program and we added it. And if these were not there in here, then it would not say import WebDriver. It will say I did not recognize. What do I mean? If I delete this, go to properties, Java build path. And here, let me do something here and add these jars again. How do I add external jars? Add external jars, go to this driver. So I need all of, okay. So when I don't have, what is it that I mean to say? Now, I don't have anything in my reference libraries. Hello, why is it there? Build path. I didn't delete. Remove. Apply. Okay, so removed. Now see, if I take my mouse over, it says I don't even recognize what WebDriver is. Earlier it said import that. So your import statements that here are nothing but saying, yes, you've got that entire Java build path, all that libraries associated, but in that what you want, because there's so much there, right? I explicitly tell me. And that now again I referenced it. I take my mouse over it. It says import this. So that statement will automatically get added. And that's the goodness about Eclipse team. It helps you to do better coding. Now I have underline on the Chrome driver. I'm just trying to eliminate the issues. Chrome driver is a subclass of web overall Selenium WebDriver. Team, I am giving you a lot of concepts and information in like bits and pieces. I hope you're absorbing. These sessions will get recorded. You can repeat them. This is a great summary for what we're doing. So Selenium WebDriver is like the main thing, okay, which interacts with any web browser. But now we know that a Chrome browser is different from a Firefox, which is different from a Safari, Opera, and so on, right? They all built differently. They also work differently. Applications, in fact, look differently also sometimes. We are getting much better these days about, but trying to be more cross-browser friendly in appearance, but it is been. So with such kind of a diversity of browsers, and then how do we make one web driver to handle everything? No, so we have one for Chrome web driver, then we have a Gecko driver, and so on for Opera, for Safari. So Selenium hq.org is your source where you would be able to access all of these latest ones. So whenever, here is what the way I think, team. If I can get onto a new system anytime, I can download Eclipse, Selenium WebDriver, Java, JDK, start installing and set it up within 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay. Now here you have something called as a download, and under download on seleniumhq.org are the links to all the latest ones. Here is the main Selenium server. That is what will let us run the tests, Selenium for WebDriver. And then you have the individual web drivers for different browsers. Gecko for Mozilla, Google, Chrome, Opera, Edge, Microsoft, and so on. Okay. Now with all of these in here, this is where I downloaded and I put it up there. Now, let's understand this code and how is it different from the earlier Java code and what will it do? It has a print statement, but it has one thing more saying that my driver, web driver. So if I change this to my D, it is basically a reference. So wherever web driver is there, I can go and change it to my D. It says, okay, now that's fine. I do have one more issue on line 17. It says by. I'll take my mouse over and import this. It is basically saying, how do I want to recognize the elements? And this by will tell us the process team by using ID, name, CSS, class path, link text, partial link text, XPath. Okay. What are we doing here? The first statement is getting this MyD to link to WebDriver. Second is something called system.setProperty. It's very simple, team. It is a property for, we're looking for webdriver.chrome.driver. Your Selenium WebDriver will search for that. It needs to know where that driver file is. So we gave the path to that, okay, in your local machine. When I say MyD equals new Chrome driver, it will launch a Chrome driver, an empty one. When I say MyD.navigate to youtube.com, it will go to that website and it will maximize that. Then it is going to find an element by using an XPath out here and send these keys and end the test. Let us see if this works as is, team. So I've saved it and I'm just running this right now. The start of my test, some bunch of commands in red. I see a browser launching. It does go to youtube.com. I did not see it. Oh yeah, there you go. It's gone full screen. And that's about it. It's type blah blah and nothing much. So the whole importance of this code is the fact that, I'm sorry, 1 second. Sorry, team. How simple can you write a code to start handling an application? Now, the same thing you could also do it on Selenium IDE, but we don't use IDE primarily because it's only to learn some basic concepts. But WebDriver is where we will focus. All that we will do now is do enhanced versions of this. And it is not just about what steps we have to do, it is also about identifying them. So remember, I was talking about those 3 things that we require to be able to work on automation. That is what to do, where to do, and any additional data. So the action what to do is here, for example, send keys or maximize, only few of them right now. The data that I want to send is also here. Now, where should I find to send the keys? That is specified here. First, when I say MyD, it is automatically going till this browser, okay, when it launches. Already MyD is out here connected to Chrome driver, correct, on line 13. Now it is going to that browser. Any questions, team? I'm almost done with the first part. So, and when I say XPath, find element by XPath. So what it is basically doing, the next activity is on this browser, keep on searching and finding an element that has an XPath so and so. And once it gets that information, it can execute it. Now, what if I just say that, you know what, I want to send keys, click, and just execute. What happens then? So anything red does not mean error, team. Anything black does not mean good. These are just how things are getting executed. What happened, team? What did it do? It did blah blah and then click. Why did it do it one after the other? Why did it not do it, override it? And that's because you need to be specific. If you want to clear that, what you wrote earlier, then you say, now comes one of your first automation steps, that if you want to do some step, then you say where you are doing. So myd dot find element. As soon as you write myd dot, your Eclipse IDE helps you to come up with what are the options that you have. So I'm saying finding my element. I'll say by dot using what? Here are the list of different methods: XPath, tag, partial, link text, ID, name, and so on. We're using XPath. Now I don't know the XPath. No problem. I'm decent at copy paste. So I'll just copy this, which worked earlier, and use it now. Now I've gone till where this element is. Now I want to perform an action on it. And that is, as soon as I hit dot, you would notice what kind of an activities you can perform on an element on a web page. And all we're doing is not trying to click that. I would like to clear that. So if there's a data before it, I want to clear it and then enter new data. And if this works, then each time it should be entering new data for me. And let's see if this works now. And see, each time it's leaving a browser open. So team, I'm almost kind of done with the first session. Any questions, please? And I will see you all in about 10-15 minutes. I'll restart the session and you can join back. I will continue it on the same link it'll be hardly 10 minutes for me to switch you all into the new one. So, but team, I will request, if you're a non-member, then please go ahead and join in, and you can welcome back to attend these sessions. One challenge that I found, meanwhile, looks like everything ran fine, but it was too fast for me to look at. And let me slow it down by adding a sleep statement. Let it go a little slower, 2 seconds between each. Actually, I want to do it after typing, give 2 seconds, then clear. Then again typing, give 2 seconds, then clear. Then again type. Yeah. Now, why do I have a thread.sleep? There's a red line on it. What is thread.sleep, team? It's one of the simple Java commands which says that Java, this thread, whatever is running is considered like a thread. That thread, let us put it to a sleep mode for 2000 milliseconds. So how do you know that this is the statement? Now that I've told, now you'll know. How will you forget after this? You keep using this, now you'll know. So it's all about getting exposed and knowing, team. So see this, how do you know that this is the format? Now you know, find element, open bracket, by dot. Same thing, practice, slowly look at things. We taking things in a faster track. Thread.sleep is basically giving an instruction saying that, hey, I want this system to sleep for 2 seconds, not system, this program, before it goes to the next step. That's a Java command. Now, the challenge with Java is that it's a very powerful tool, programming language, and it has the ability to interact with multiple other devices, applications, or programs, or what you have on your machine. So it can cause interruptions, especially when you're sleeping and something else is interrupting into it. And all of these have a chance to throw issues or errors. So Java want to know that there is a chance that errors may happen, especially when you use certain things. And for that is why we use this just an exception. There is a chance that it can throw an exception. Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about exceptions, how we handle them, but just that I needed it here, so I'm using it. Why did I do that enhancement in the script? Only for me to get a better visual idea on how the script is running. So do you understand how the team, your automation team in the background is actually going to be executing, or how they're going to be working on? They're primarily doing this repeated tasks. Now this looks fine. So what about if I go about writing a lot of steps like that consistently in that same fashion for everything that I see in an application? Why not, right? But then there is, you cannot maintain, there is no efficiency, you lose an ERA, and that is what we will see how we can do better. And here I'm going to do my D dot close. I'm going to quickly close that and get out after that. Share on set property. Okay, so executions, all about writing, executing, writing, executing. So team, assuming no questions, if there are, please do let me know, or else it's 11:36 a.m. my time. Shall we meet at 11:50 a.m. my time, which is 1:50 Central, 2:50 p.m. Pacific? Please share on set property. I will, maybe once I join back. What is set property doing? Is it? What happens is your WebDriver will look and hunt for this property that is set that has to have a value. This is the one it'll go and refer to when it wants to get the Chrome driver. So for this, it wants to know where is that located in that entire Chrome driver.exe. The small plugin file is there. We already downloaded it and we put it under our drivers file here. So it's just giving a link. That way it can interact with it. Let us say it does not find that. Okay. And I say it's Chrome driver1.exe and I run this code. What happens now? It'll throw a runtime error team. It says that, you know what, the driver executable does not exist at this path. So it cannot launch it. And it gives me a good analysis that, okay, ddf1.java line 13, there's an issue there. All right, great. So team, I'll see you back at 11:15, about 12 minutes from now. Thank you all. Bye now. Take care. And team, for all the non-members, please make sure you complete your formalities with the pricing and join back. Thank you. Bye everyone. See you soon. Same link team. Bye.